needs to stop that.
So I'd like to apologize at this time. We ran into a technical error while Mr. Miller was in the middle of reading a public comment. At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Miller to go ahead and resume.
You say we're halfway through. Okay. Mr. Miller, Mr. Matthew Miller, I'm going to pick up on number 3. Trucks get lost. It happens. Adding a warehouse near roads that can't handle truck traffic is a bad idea. Sheep Ridge Road, west of Sipe Road, Keisman and Roxbury roads are not made to handle 18-wheelers. I don't want burden with more truck traffic in my area. I say please vote no to a warehouse at zone section 209. The next one is from Eric M. Miller, 5 Colhane Road, York Haven, Pennsylvania. To Newberry Township Board of Supervisors, I have comments to the proposed text amendment change for RCA use. As a resident that resides on Colhane Road, I oppose the change to allow warehouses in the RCO. The text amendment would fundamentally change our township and lives for anyone in the township that resides within 1 mile of an interchange or uses the interchange at Newberry Town or Valley Green on a daily basis. Excuse me. I noted during the Planning Commission's meeting that one of the board members said, once we change it, it's changed forever, referring to warehouses. That was an eye-opening statement. I fully understand that the Colhane property could be used in another capacity and that development could not be prevented due to the RCO regulations. During the Planning Commission meeting, another member also noted that warehouse is a bad word in this area. There's a good reason with that statement. Residents in the area have seen firsthand the adverse effects that allowing warehouses has caused. In our town, just look at what the super rudders did to the traffic. One needs to just look to Emmetsville, Strinestown, and Lewisberry to see that warehousing creates poor conditions for residents in these areas with increased traffic, noise, road dirt, drive down through west side of Strinestown, and pollution. The townships also have larger interchanges than ours. The warehouse text change was opposed by the Board of Supervisors in 2018. Since then, nothing has changed with our ordinances and conveyed by the Planning Commission's own admission during the January meeting. I understand that the Planning Commission approved 2021 proposal with recommendations. These recommendations were very valid points and should be met prior to any approval or motion to approve. The RCO districting by the York County Planning Commission are in place for a reason. They understand that a warehouse was not correct application on these properties. During the Planning Commission meetings, the developer tried to make valid points to allow warehousing in the RCO, even to the point of using words aesthetics associated with referencing to a warehouse, which I found comical. Some of the points were that a warehouse would be better for the community than a hospital, school, or manufacturing. I'm sure that I can speak for most of the area that is not the case. We have a school located next to our property, and I would rather listen to people cheering from a home run at the baseball field on a Saturday morning than semi-trucks, PA speakers, backup beepers, and an ungodly amount of light 24/7. This property could be used in so many better ways to benefit the community than another warehouse. The tactics the developer used during the Planning Commission meeting surprised me. I have watched the January Planning Commission meeting in its entirety. I understand that we currently have truck traffic on Sipe Road. The traffic generated by Monarch or other companies is minimum compared to a warehouse. The notion that other uses of this property would be detrimental with regards to traffic is unfounded. Threatening to build a 343 square foot building with 2 doors, a chemical factory, church, no tax revenue, and many other, which is currently approved with the current regulations, completely this developer's way to show how ill-prepared we are for this amendment and a way to bully our officials and community. I also would recommend that the proposed tax revenue generated by said warehouse be questioned. I trust the elected officials of this Board of Supervisors will listen to the residents and not a developer from which does not reside here in making their decision. I truly know that as a resident in this community, you will turn down this amendment as previously done in 2018. It did not work then and does not work now. Thank you, Mr. Miller says. That one has no address. Richard McCarthy, 1115 Old Quaker Road, Netters. Please do not rezone the area of 665 Red Mill Road for more housing. The area is already overcrowded, and this will do nothing to help the situation. We need to keep our farmlands and open spaces, not destroy them. If this area is rezoned, we voters will take note of who voted to approve the rezoning and make sure you are voted out. Galen Clugston of Pleasant View Drive and Enters. This will, if I live on Pleasant View Drive, this will have a huge impact on Pleasant View Drive. As a long-time owner here in Newbury, I should not be impacted by this huge amount of traffic or this amount of townhomes and others that will burden my quiet and peaceful life that I enjoy. The rezoning should not go through, period. Thank you, Galen Clugston. Rose Anna Bear, 140 Highland Circle, Edders, Pennsylvania. Dear Township Supervisors, I believe that rezoning of 665 Red Mill Road to maximize Mr. Patel's profits will be done at the expense of all residents in the area. The increased traffic will result in more accidents and fatalities at the corner of Red Mill and Yoakum Town, already the township's most dangerous intersection. Increased traffic over the single-lane bridge will cause it to deteriorate faster and need to be replaced at our expense. Increased demand at the water and sewage treatment plants will lead to expansion of those facilities with the cost passed on to the local residents. Increased traffic in front of the school would lead to higher risks for the children. Increased urban runoff at the site will lead to more flooding downstream. The area is already zoned residential. There is no need to cram people in like sardines just so one guy can make more money. The idea to rezone the place at the first person's request shows the short-sightedness of the commissioners, lack of faith in your zoning board, and general inclination that money talks and quality of life means nothing. I am highly opposed to rezoning residential holdings to residential growth at 665 Red Mill Road. Also, I am opposed to amending the text for regional commercial office zone, section 209, that would allow for warehouse or warehouses on Colhane Road and in the RCO district. Putting blighted growth and unstable expansion over a long-term sustainable plan for the township and its citizens is appalling. Barry and Karen Stone, 145 Pleasant View Drive, Edders, Pennsylvania. Please vote no for rezoning of residential holdings to residential growth in 665 Red Mill Road. I got an email here that from Jim and Mary Ann Spontac, but they were just here and openly spoke. You guys wish me to read that?
No, it's fine.
It's the same information.
All right, okay. I didn't see that. I got his name last minute. Okay. Dear Newbury Township Board of Supervisors, my wife Mary Ann and I bought a 5-acre property along Red Mill Road in 1991. We built on that parcel in 1993. We moved to this area because we liked the rural flavor of the neighborhood. The 30-acre farm property across Red Mill from the school went up for auction in 1991. I attended the auction and bid on the property, but unfortunately, I wasn't the highest bidder.
Yeah,
Hey, Tony, that's exactly,
Tony, that's-
Tony, that's exactly what
That's
he
what I
talked
yeah,
about.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
We
thank you.
got that.
I did get there was an email that was sent to the supervisors, forwarded to me. They did not ask that it be read, but it is from Randy Watts of 200 Pleasant View Drive. Randy Watts is a resident township at 200 Pleasant View Drive. Our residence is close proximity to 665 Red Mill Road. My wife and I are opposed to proposed rezoning of this parcel for the following reason. Residential holdings, the zoning district is to support residential growth district. However, the zoning ordinance is very specific to time in its transition. More specifically, the zoning ordinance states that both the residential growth district and village district must be fully
Mr.
developed.
Miller, can you pause for a moment? We seem to be having difficulty with the stream again.
Laura, you got to speak up when we're having trouble.
Okay.
More specifically, the zoning ordinances state that both the residential growth district and village districts must be fully developed prior to rezoning of residential holdings. Currently, both residential growth and village districts have not been fully developed. Infrastructure. The township infrastructure is not in place to handle this growth on this parcel. Public water and public sewer are not available to the site. Again, the zoning ordinance addresses this matter in the residential holding district. Public utilities are to be available to the site. In addition, the roadway along Red Mill is a 2-lane country road with a 1-lane bridge. There have been several occasions when trucks have tried to navigate this bridge and got stuck. Again, the road is not designed to handle this growth of this property. There will be a significant increase in traffic on the sporting roads, one of which is Pleasant View Road, which we reside. Currently, we are concerned with the speed to which individuals travel on this road, and this will become an increased problem once this property is developed. Not a good problem for the township. All these infrastructures need to be supported by the township. Is the township in a position to do such? What is the capacity of sewer lines, supporting sewer plant, police, fire resources, and township road maintenance? Single-family detached residence. This is the permitted use within the residential holdings district, along with a minimum lot width of 300 feet, one side yard setback 200 feet, another 25 feet, front rear setback 35 feet. In order for the developer to make this project financially viable, they will need to significantly increase the density requirements for this partial. They will need to take into account wetlands which are on this property, natural springs, internal roadways, and stormwater management. These items will reduce the area to which the developer will be able to place structures, housing apartments, more specifically 60 single-family homes and 120 multifamily residence apartments. Yes, I understand the developer will need to submit a development plan should you grant this rezoning approval, and that is where the township will place restrictions. The timing is not right to grant this rezoning. The rezoning petition does not make sense for this 30-acre parcel for above reasons. We've been a resident of the township going on 11 years. We're proud to call Newberry Township our home. We're opposed to the rezoning petition, and we know the community is against the rezoning petition. Please take these comments into consideration. I know that when you fully vet the next residential growth area within the township, you will realize that the timing is not right for rezoning of 665 Red Mill Road. Thank you, members of the Board of Supervisors. Please do the right thing and do not approve a rezoning petition. No address, no address, no address. I have one last public comment. This is from Andrew Pop. He doesn't give me his address, but I know he lives in the township. Dear Newberry Township Board of Supervisors, this email and attachment is for public comments for the Tuesday, January 26th, Newberry Township Supervisor meeting at 6 p.m. Please read the email and attached in full. It has come to my attention that Township Manager Tony Miller has mentioned my name in his January 26th monthly manager's report in relation to right-to-know requests. In fairness, please provide the names of all the people who submitted right-to-know requests in 2020, including the details of the items that were requested. In addition, please read the attached final determination of an appeal allowed to the public where the appeal was granted on 1/25/2021. I will not be reading, this is not his comments, I will not be reading Mr. Pop's attachment. It is available at the Office of Open Records website at Appeal 2021-0020. The public has every right to conduct right-to-know requests and appeal if the township denies requests. If the township and agency open records officer Anthony Miller did not hide certain items from the public, the township would not have to pay lawyers and large legal expenses. The public ought to read some of the things I have uncovered in right-to-know requests. Further, Township Manager Tony Miller refused to read all of my public comments, which were submitted for the December 28th, 2020 board meeting. Township Manager Tony Miller has stated if people email their public comments to Township, they will be read during the public comments section of the agenda of the meeting. That has not been true from my own experiences. I wonder how many more people have submitted public comments which were not read by Township at meetings. Do people have to conduct right-to-know requests for public comments for each board meeting to find out how many were not read? Township Manager Tony Miller has encouraged and suggested people to do right-to-know requests for items which he refuses to provide with ease. I would be happy to speak with anyone about the right to know requests I have conducted and the experiences I have had with the township regarding them. Finally, please advise when the township will be releasing the McConley and Ashbury audit. Supervisor Tony Miller and the rest of the Newberry Township Board of Supervisors paid over $23,000 in taxpayers' money for in September of 2019. People have been waiting for the release of this audit and have been asking for it in public comments, both read and not read by the township since at least June 23rd, 2020. Respectfully, Andrew Pop. I just had a comment to address him. I want the board and the public to know that the reason Mr. Pop's comments submitted prior to December 28th meeting that were not read is that we had a narrow agenda. The comments were not pertinent to that agenda. As for the McConley and Ashbury audit, we have two opinions from the Office of Open Records already stating that the township is not obligated to make the audit public due to its being protected by attorney-client privilege. To this point, the township decided to maintain the confidentiality of that audit, including because it involves confidential employee data. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Is there any other comments regarding public comments?
Yeah, one of the things when we went to the streaming system due to the fact that we were put into this COVID thing, the rules set forth, they're on the township website, states we have to have your full name, your full address, and a phone number, so that if we have to get a hold of you as far as your comments, we need to be able to get a hold of you. So, in my opinion, if we do not have an address for the people requesting it, I don't think we need to read them.
Okay. Mr. Wintermeyer, do you have anything you wanted to address before we move on?
Yeah, I'm gonna step down from the vice chair. This time I really don't want the job, and make a motion for Maxine Calkin for vice chair.
Okay, do I have a second for that motion?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, so be it. Okay, moving forward, the approval of the minutes. I'm seeking a motion to approve the Board of Supervisors monthly meeting, December 8th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, sir.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Looking for a motion to approve Board of Supervisors special meeting, December 28th, 2020. Motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept those minutes.
Okay. Anything else? Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve the Board of Supervisors reorganization meeting, January 4th, 2021.
I'll make that motion.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Reports. So the Chief of Police.
Evening, Board,
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
residents. All of you guys have my December report in front of you. And it's been placed on the website, so I'm going to read the yearly stats since this is the first meeting for the year. If you're all right with that. The year 2020 was challenging for our country, our state, and our township. Last year, at this time, no one could have predicted that any of us would have battled unprecedented obstacles, including a global pandemic and nationwide civil unrest. In order to adapt to these new challenges, our officers had to adjust the way that they policed. Hand sanitizer and face masks became standard issued property. Non-essential face-to-face interactions with the public were curbed by implementing an online reporting system and making contact with complaints over the phone. Community outreach programs and other community-oriented policing initiatives were canceled, but despite these changes and challenges, the officers continued to serve the citizens and the visitors of the township by answering thousands of calls for service in 2020. The department handled 8,628 incidents for 2020. Listing those calls by criteria, There's 2 rapes, 9 aggravated assaults, 28 burglaries, 124 thefts, 14 motor vehicle thefts, 71 drug offenses, 73 DUIs, 52 simple assaults, 35 sexual assaults, 72 domestic-related harassments, 74 harassments, and 265 all other offenses. Additionally, the officers responded and investigated 7,885 other calls for service, including 249 domestic-related incidents, 202 traffic accidents. They issued 991 traffic citations, 1,332 traffic warnings, 149 non-traffic citations, and made 334 misdemeanor and/or felony criminal arrests. These numbers are staggering if you think about it. Essentially, 14 officers handled 8,628 calls for service. That computes to about 616.28 incidents per officer. That's with 14. Realistically, you are all aware that over the last 3 months, that number of the officers is lower because of people being out on injury. That equates to 719 incidents per month, or 23.63 calls per day, which is a little under 1 call per hour. 334 misdemeanor and/or felony arrests translates to 0.915 misdemeanor arrests per day, so just under 1 a day. And if you take the overall arrests, including summary, misdemeanor, and felony, it totals 483, which is 1.32 arrests a day. Thought that's information that you guys would want to know about the year.
Well, thank you,
guys have any
Chief.
Thank you.
questions for me?
Good, Steve. No. Thanks.
Do you want to bring up the fire police thing?
Is it someplace else in the agenda? Okay. So, I believe last year, it was discussed, about fire police training. I can't remember if it was discussed in the Board of Supervisors meeting or not, but, the discussion was, we found an individual that will train all the fire police, Newberry, York Haven, and Goldsboro, for a minimum fee. And it was discussed that, if that could happen, since they fall underneath the township's purview as we're on the roadway, if the township supervisors would pay for that training. I believe it's a $300 to $400 training, and that would encompass any fire police that are not basic fire police trained.
Steve, where would he have it at?
We would probably
Because
have
you-
it here. We
Here?
don't have the numbers, we would have it in this building here. We don't have the numbers per se of how many people it would take. I do have an active list that's fluid with Newberry, York Haven, and Goldsboro, with members that are trained at this point. However, as you know, they're volunteer fire departments, and sometimes their membership fluctuates, goes ups and goes down. So this would afford individuals that aren't trained the ability to be trained and have everybody on the same page. So moving forward, if there's an incident in Newberry Township, we're all on the same page.
Chief, is that an annual training, or is that a one-time thing?
It's a one-time thing.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve $400 for fire police training for the fire police that operate in Newberry Township.
I'd like to second it.
Have a second?
Now, that's for everybody, that's not
York
for
Haven,
each
Goldsboro.
person.
Excuse me, sir?
No,
That's not 400 for each person.
No,
that's
that's
for the whole
For the whole class, okay.
Good question.
Yeah.
So I have a second.
I'm sorry, I meant to bring
I
that.
apologize.
Steve made a motion, I have a second from Mr. Wintermeyer. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Solicitors report. Oh, did I miss one?
Fire and EMS.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hatter, your report, fire and EMS.
Well, I have the report that I submitted to you. So if you have any questions on that, I can answer those. EMS and fire both were emailed off. Touch base on the fire police. Our department has always had our personnel trained. We appreciate the offer. We will be having anybody that wants to do a refresher to sit in on it. It's always good to relearn.
Yep.
So I just wanted to make that known As of this year, we have 2 more fire police are coming on, so we'll be getting those packets through the chief. On this note, I've questioned in the past. So our department provides fire police to the township in our response areas, and we are required to have our personnel cleared through the police chief and accepted annually, like we did last meeting at our reorganization meeting. That same thing should occur with the borough departments as well.
My understanding, we've done that, correct?
It's never been done.
We've obtained their training and the certifications, but they've never submitted a list to me to submit to the board for approval.
Okay.
I think that's what he's getting at.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
That, we'll follow up on it.
No problem. I appreciate you, approving the training and giving us that opportunity for that as well.
Okay.
Any
Thank
other
you, Gary.
questions? It's been a
Do
rough
we
start.
have to approve training or something for you?
That should be in your new business, our training and our fundraisers for the year. That was in an email that went back and forth a little. I submitted that and it got missed in the reorganization meeting. So
Yes.
we were gonna cover it
That's,
this
that's
week.
what made me think of it when you said that, so.
The meeting went so quick last, at the reorganization meeting, and I kind of slipped out, you went into executive session, so then I sent out text, and then I had spoke to Mr. Patrick.
So we need,
I'll go get it. You can continue the meeting when I get it on the computer, I'll bring it in.
Okay. So, yes, our annual proposed fundraisers for the year, obviously, right now, we're not really doing those fundraisers because of the COVID restrictions.
okay, so I make a motion that we approve the fire department's training and fundraisers so that they're, so you're covered, correct?
Correct, and the reason why you have to do that, for any that might not be familiar, is because of the workers' comp. You're required to provide our workers' comp, so we need to get authorization from you. And they put a blanket in there for the training, that way, if I have a new member come in, or we have an opportunity to go to a training to another department that we don't have pre-scheduled, you're giving, that authorization ahead of time.
Okay.
That way I don't have to be reaching out all the time to approve that.
So I'll make a second
So-
What
motion.
we've done in the past.
We have a motion from Mr. Kirkpatrick. A second.
I'll second it.
Second from Mr. Wintermeyer. Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Gary, how much did it affect you last year for the COVID, as far as fundraising?
We were probably in the neighborhood of around 18,000. I don't have an exact.
Negative? Or,
Correct, that we missed in being
We
able
missed,
to
okay.
fundraise. We did receive 15,000 last year from the CARES Act to get back. So we weren't, we were maybe in a negative $3,000.
Okay.
That was a very good help.
cool.
Anybody have any other questions?
I'm good.
I'm good.
I think that's everything,
Thank you.
Mr. Hatter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
We waiting for Tony to come back with something?
Yeah, he's just gonna bring the,
He's just gonna print the
Agenda
email
item.
off that Gary's.
so we're gonna move on to the solicitor's report at this time. Mr. Miller?
I submitted a written report to the board. I don't have anything further to add other than other items that are on the agenda already. So unless there's any questions from any board members.
Okay. Next up will be the engineer's report.
So I have two things I want to talk to you tonight. Under item number 3, MS4 updates, we talked a couple months ago about the PRP plan, the pollution reduction plan, and that we're part of as a part of the county consortium. And you wanted me to look into some alternatives for that. One of them being a neighboring municipality in York County that was looking at some alternative methods with no-till farming. I did get to talk to their engineer and just kind of summarize the conversation there in in my notes. With regards to their plan, it's not approved yet, which we do have a plan that is approved. They're one of the few plans in the county that is not approved at this point. My understanding, because it is an alternative method, DEP is looking at it closely. In fact, EPA has also come in and kind of looked over their plan at this point. It's not approved.
Okay.
Also, the costs were a little bit costlier than originally thought. The no-till cost is anywhere from $20,000 to $35,000. They also have a stream bank restoration project involved in their plan that's going to cost $250,000, and they have some basin retrofits that are estimated at $25,000 to $50,000. And then the costs for the plan are really unknown at this point. That would include, preparing a plan, plus also, any administration for construction projects like the stream bank restoration type projects. So at this point, I feel that we need to stick with our current PRP plan that we have with the county consortium. I think I'd like to follow what this neighboring municipality is doing to see if it does get approved. There's a possibility that there may be some cost savings depending on what comes out of it. But until that time, I would recommend that we'd stick with under this permit term, that we stick with what we're doing right now, or otherwise I think we could get ourselves into a pickle as far as meeting the requirements for the pollution reduction plan. The other thing I wanted to bring to your attention was with regard to item number 4. We did have a meeting with the developer for Red Mill Crossing to discuss the required off-site improvements with that project. That project has twice been before the Planning Commission and twice tabled to look at some of these off-site items. We did have a meeting with staff. And I just want you to be aware that at some point, the developer may be coming to us to help in acquiring some easements for sewer. And then the last thing I'll mention is with the sewer department, I'll be working with Brent here. At the end of March, there is a Chapter 94 report that's due that kind of looks at the projections for the plant over the next 5 years. We do this, it's yearly. So at some point, Chairman, I'll be asking you to sign that report that'll go into DEP at the end of March.
Okay.
Okay. That's all I have, unless anybody has any questions for me at this time.
Any other questions? Thank you for your time. So let's see where we're at here.
Manager.
Our manager, Mr. Miller, you're up, sir.
I don't have anything to add to my report that I had provided and put on the website, sir. I apologize, Chief Hatter, you now have that list of his events.
Okay, do we have anything from the treasurer's report? Nothing to add. Supervisor's report.
Yeah. Regarding for the 665 Red Mill Road, after we had that discussion with them, I'm not sure what meeting it was, we discussed it with them. I drove over to that site that weekend, I believe it was, and the roads are very narrow. I'm not even sure how the school got approved for that area. And plus, it is residential holding. In my understanding, residential holding is just for that. You hold it to all the property in the area is established and taken up. Then that comes in play.
Well, that's exactly why a comprehensive plan is put together and the zoning is applied to
Correct.
that.
You know, we discussed it with them
Exactly
at
the
first.
reason.
I didn't really understand what it meant, so I looked into it, researched it. So I would think we need to make a motion to just stop this altogether. No more further action with it.
Yeah, I have to look at it from the impact of the residents as well, and I will concede that, you know, based on the information that we received this evening and the fact that it is in residential holding, I would have to agree with Mr. Wintermeyer regarding that aspect of it, because of the fact that it's in residential holding. We have other property within the township that is available for that type of a build. I think that we should hold that in abeyance. And
Yeah,
Mr.
we
Wintermeyer, are
already
you
have
making,
too
are you
many.
making a motion this evening
I'd like to make a
to,
motion to stop any further actions on 665 Red Mill Road.
do I have a second? Any other discussion, or a second?
I'll second it.
And let's put it to a vote. All in favor of stopping any further action regarding 655 Red Mill Road?
Andy, your thoughts?
I was just gonna ask, this is an agenda item later, so.
Yeah,
are
I
you
realize
able
that.
to-
We'll just move it around.
Okay. I don't really have anything else to add. I mean, what they were here tonight was to see if you wanted to forward this, and what was on the agenda was the question whether the board wanted to forward it for
Correct.
planning commission comments. There aren't any planning commission comments in front of you. That's the reason for the process, is so that you can learn more about this.
Yep.
As it goes along, and
Yeah.
you can get the comments from the planning commission if you
I
want.
think I've learned enough we need to know.
Well, and the fact is that they haven't done much more with it at this point, and rather than allow that to continue, my feeling is I would agree with Mr. Wintermeyer at this point. I don't see any reason for us to further this at this point, so I'm gonna ask, we have a motion to stop any further action regarding 655. Do I have a second?
I seconded it.
And all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Second thing on the report for me would be the warehouses here, down here at Sape Road. Anybody would drives that area knows darn well more truck traffic in that area is gonna be devastating. I mean, I actually haven't been at Rutter's store for a year, because you cannot get in and out of that place. And to make a left-hand turn off a Sape Road on Old Jerk Road at sometimes at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's about impossible.
Almost impossible.
I
So-
agree.
I
think
drove
we
those
should-
roads when this came up one time before. I drove those roads, I mean, they're basically horse and buggy trails.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Colleen Road
I
is
mean,
a
if
horse
a
and
truck
buggy
was to
road.
make a wrong turn, you wouldn't even be able to turn around.
You cannot make a left-hand turn,
It's not even safe to
Coming
make,
out of-
the way it winds around.
yeah, coming out of Colleen Road to Sheep Ridge, you cannot make a left-hand
It
turn. with
just
a truck.
doesn't make sense.
There's no, I mean, a car, you have a hard time.
Yeah. Well, the infrastructure's definitely not there to support a tractor and
No,
trailer
plus,
at this
even
time.
if it was going out to Newburytown, coming through Old Jerk Road there, that's gonna be a mess.
So, Mr.
So I would make a motion to table it till we can check into it a little further.
I think they did table.
The developer did make a request to table this for precisely the reasons you're bringing up. When staff had discussed this and met with them, we brought up the issue of the infrastructure and the fact that there would have to be more road improvements offered for any kind of development like that in this area. So they asked that this month that it be tabled. Certainly, if the supervisors have any other comments, you know, I would make them aware of that so they can take that into consideration.
Well, I would say, stop. I mean,
Don't waste your time.
Yeah,
waste your
or
time.
money.
Okay.
I'm not passing it.
And so the developer did request to table it at this time. You know, my suggestion would be to give them that chance to take a look at it and.
The board already looked at that thing in the past, correct, guys?
I have
Absolutely.
driven around that area,
Yeah.
and I
It is
just
already-
can't believe they're proposing a warehouse for there.
It is already denied in the past already, so we're not gonna keep on going down this road.
We understand the way it's zoned as RCO. That doesn't speak to a warehouse. I understand that the developer is seeking to put a smaller thumbprint on that piece of property with still the same result. It would be nonetheless a warehouse. That being said, I think that tabling it is fine, but I believe that the board has a better idea of what is proposed here and what their decision would be.
I would like to see areas like that more designed for a restaurant, a little mini mall or some sort, something of the sort. These warehouses, no. Nobody can enjoy a warehouse, including me.
Okay.
Well, there's, I guess, there's not a I think that direction is fairly clear. And
Yeah, they want to go with a warehouse for sure.
right, and I think the developer and owner will get that message. The prior request for action when the proposed text amendment was tabled by the developer, so, I mean, if the board wants to make a motion, you certainly can, but there's not a request for action tonight. I don't know,
Well,
given
my
the
point is,
comments
Andy,
tonight, whether they'll come back and make.
Quit wasting their money, because
request.
it's not going through me.
Right.
Can I make one comment? Just so everyone's aware, there are certain permitted uses in that zone. So you
Yes.
want to take a look at those permitted uses, just so you understand what is permitted in that zone.
Yes, and I understand that.
We all understand that, but the residents have a right to what can be permitted there also. And I think we were voted to speak up for residents, so I'm speaking up for them.
Sure.
If this doesn't belong here, it doesn't belong here.
Right. And the only other thing to add to Bill's comment is, for everyone just to be aware that there is an area of industrial just down the road on Sipe Road that would allow this kind of development without the limitations or requirements. for
Well, I understand that as
road
well.
improvements. And I bring that up because that's, if you don't want this kind of development in that area, the ordinance should be addressed, because. the
Well, we should
ordinance
address it
currently
and change the
allows-
ordinance for it then,
Right.
for warehouses.
That's, and that's what I mean, the ordinance should be addressed, to make sure.
Yep.
That you don't get those kinds of requests, that you don't have a, real decision in where they're
Yeah.
already allowed.
Can you work on that for us? I mean, and get something together?
Yeah, we can certainly.
Because we pretty
give a
much all
bill
agree,
and-
correct?
Yeah, we don't want to be another Strine's Town, another Amixville, it's all warehouses along 83, and
Negative.
Yeah, this I-83 corridor, I don't want Newberry Township to be known for warehouses. We already have enough, and that's very obvious. All you need to do is travel another direction from Newberry Township and look, you can see the warehouses there.
Yeah, and I do just, what we could do is next month, put that section of the ordinance in front of you or in between the meetings for you to take a look at. I do want to be clear, though, in Pennsylvania, you cannot just say that you do not want and zone out any warehouses. That will set you up for a de facto exclusionary zoning
Understood.
claim, which would allow them potentially anywhere, so.
That's understood.
So
However-
you have to be careful the extent that you go with that. But we could certainly look at the industrial and RCO districts and the uses that are allowed there, make sure that you all feel they're compatible with the area that we're talking about, because that's a fundamental way to address it as well.
I appreciate your input. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Any other comments under
So,
supervisors?
Do you have to vote on that? We had a motion
Okay.
and a second.
So we do have a motion and a second to stop any further planning for the Colhane Road warehouse. All in favor of stopping any further
Action.
action on that warehouse, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The nays?
Aye.
Aye? Are you aye or a nay?
He's a nay.
I'm a nay.
You're a nay. Okay. We have 4 ayes and 1
However
nay.
however you want to phrase it.
4 ayes and 1 nay. Thank you, sir. All right, so moving on, under old business.
How about, I have some stuff under the supervisors.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The guy that doesn't know nothing about technology's got to turn his phone
Look
back
at
on,
that. God
okay?
bless you.
This time, I'd like for us to discuss the manager sending a letter to Frontier Phone, the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission, the representative, Dawn Kiefer and the state rep, or state senator from this area. As it stands right now, we're 3 years into replacing the bridge going down the hill at the Walmart. And the only thing that stops that bridge is Frontier has not moved their stuff. They keep coming up with 1,000 excuses.
Were they down there this week?
No, that's EK doing a water line.
Water lines, okay.
You know, indirectly, the traffic light that's at McDonald's was put up for that project 3 years ago. So we're, in the long run, we're paying for that traffic light because that's coming out of tax dollars. They charge them for that light to just sit there and do absolutely
So
nothing.
we are still waiting for Frontier.
Frontier's the only holdup on that whole project, and that job would be done.
So what do we have to do to get their button
I'm
action?
hoping by us sending a letter to the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission, Don Kiefer's office, the state senator's office, and Frontier, and of course the PennDOT, letting them know that we feel it's a major safety issue because we have a lot of people now starting to walk to the Walmart and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When they put the new bridge in, there'll be sidewalks there. So, you know, this is a major safety issue that
I agree.
I think that we need to address. So I'd like the board, I'm making a motion that we send this letter and I'll go from there.
Yeah, I'll second it.
All in favor of the motion to sending the letter to Frontier regarding their poles and their lines? Is that
The Public Utility Commission.
Public Utility
The
Commission
poles
or
are
state
already in.
representative?
Yeah, the polls were set by Med Ed
Well, they could
a
just
year and a
design.
half ago or 2 years ago. So,
So would you restate the motion for me so I can,
I'd like to make a motion that the manager send a letter to the Public Utility Commission, the state senator for this area, to Don Kiefer's office, to Frontier Communications, and to PennDOT, stating we would like somebody to force Frontier to get in and move their stuff so this project can move forward due to the safety issues that are involved.
so we have a first and a second on the motion. All in favor?
I
Aye.
just want to make one more comment. Maybe we could skip the state senator's office because he passed this past week.
Oh, Dave.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Um,
that Dave, okay.
Dave
A
Arnold,
brain
yeah.
tumor.
Okay.
All right.
The-
Well, you know, I'd like to see if we could try to help push this along, help our friends at PennDOT, try to get this project done, because I think this has been going on long enough.
So the motion is presented with the exception of our state senator. Motion was to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Another thing I have is, we had a email in the last week or two from somebody wanting to know why they didn't put fire hydrants in the development where we just did water lines. Apparently, there was paperwork missed by some people. Those people are no longer around. I would like to propose that we have our solicitor draw up an ordinance that fire hydrants are placed every 800 feet whenever new water lines are installed, and find out what it's going to take to put the fire hydrants in where they've upgraded the water lines in the last couple of years.
Well, Dave, didn't Suez already agree to put the hydrants in there?
Nobody told them where they wanted them. They never got the,
But they agreed to do it, but no one told them where it is.
right, nobody told them where to put the hydrants.
So all we gotta do is tell them where to go, then they'll put them in.
So if we put hydrants every 800 feet, I talked with our fire chief, and our fire chief has assured me that the hose beds that we have on their apparatus and our surrounding departments, if we go every 800 feet, basically we're taking a water main from underground, putting it above ground. 800 feet is not out of the reach. They have enough hose on there to do a quality supply.
Mr. Hatter, do you have something to add to this?
No, I'm just going to concur with what Mr. Patrick was saying, and I do have the map. A former supervisor did not forward that one.
Okay, so we do have a map so we can figure out where the location of those hydrants.
I do have a map. I support his idea with, because we discussed this, of the 800 feet.
Okay.
The only thing that I would add, which him and I discussed, and I don't know how you would want to work that, is having a little leeway on placement within that 800 feet.
Okay.
You know, some of that could depend on other streets, because when I do hydrant layout, I always think about causing less congestion if there's multiple roadways in the development. Where we put that hydrant, therefore, we're not obstructing the rest of the development for
Right.
people to get in and out.
So we have a map for a starting point of reference.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll make that in the form of a motion that we have our attorney draw up that ordinance so that in the future, when they submit their permit to put the water line in, they can just show us the pictures where they're putting the hydrants.
Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second it. Yeah, go ahead, Brent.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any other business?
I think that's all I got for now.
Okay. So under old business, take a look at the Little League. We received a letter from the Little League Baseball Association.
Yes, if I could address that, Mr. Chairman, just briefly.
Absolutely.
The board approved in early December for me to send a letter to the Redland Youth Baseball concerning the lease in several areas that they were defaulting in, and they were given 10 days to respond. One of the issues, the two issues were they, since the beginning of the lease several years ago, they had not paid the $500 annual maintenance fee and had not provided insurance, liability insurance and bodily injury insurance. You all have a copy of the response from the president of Redland Youth Baseball, Rob McClure, that he did provide the insurance certificate, but they apparently are not paying the $500 a year, claiming that they had some kind of an agreement that they wouldn't pay if it was undeveloped. He does state that they spent several $1,000s getting land permitted for field usage plans and specs prepared for new baseball complex. The permit's still good, and they had discussions with a developer locally, but that kind of fizzled, and the potential partnership fizzled. But right now, the league is not in a position to do anything on that parcel of land because it's cost prohibitive, and he does not see that changing anytime soon. If the township wants the land back to use for something else, he guessed the board wouldn't object to ending the lease.
Okay.
Just a comment there. We're kind of tied, our hands are kind of tied here. There's money available through Department of Community, DCED, for matching grants for us to
Okay.
develop that park ourselves.
Okay.
I personally think that we should end this lease and go into those grants and do something with that park. And for those of you out there that like to post stuff on social media, it was a joke when somebody mentioned turning it into a RV, or not an RV, but a motorcycle track and all that. That was a joke. And so anyway, I would like to see us end this lease with the Little League and try
I
to
agree.
proceed.
You kind of beat me to it.
Okay, but I would like to see us look into getting some grants and possibly develop that into another township park. We can put a ball field in there and, and a lot of other things that's good for the rest of the community.
Do you know how much we have in our rec fund?
Tony?
Gene, it was at the end of the year towards 300,000. It's a little plus side of 300,000.
Cash there.
And those grants I had already looked into, DCED, I need to get moving on that. I believe the deadline is February, but if you guys make a decision, I could.
And that money can't be spent anywhere else, it has to be spent on.
Recreation, yes.
That's correct.
I think it's prudent that we do our diligence here. Obviously, the Redland Little League baseball field came and went, and now we have this property that we could do something positive with. That being said, I would concur with Dave and with Maxine regarding, and the rest of the board, regarding developing that, something for the community, for the kids to enjoy, something that's more beneficial, rather than just sitting there and being a weed field. So, Dave, if you're making that motion,
I made that as motion, or if you need me to recite my motion, we can do that.
I think we all know what the body of that motion is, so that being the case, do I have a second on the motion?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And the ayes have it.
So we will, in order to formally terminate that lease, we'll prepare a lease termination and circulate that to Redland Little League. I think the board's authorization would authorize the chairman to sign that without having to
Absolutely, and from the letter,
Proceed that way.
yeah, and from the letter we received, it says if the township wants the land back to use it for something else, there's no objection. I can read it verbatim, but there is going to be no pushback from the entity that currently has the lease, that we can do something positive for the community with. Next, under old business, we have the Red Mill Crossing Extension Request Letter. It's-
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, you all have, it's not in your packet, it was provided on the 25th of January. You have that next to you as just a letter requesting an extension of the review time to May 31st, 2021, and that is the developers for Red Mill Crossing.
Okay. That's not going to require any action on our behalf this evening, so, not that I'm
I
aware.
think we have to make a motion in order to extend it.
Extend it?
Oh, okay, yep,
Yeah,
you're correct.
The board could have a motion to acknowledge the extension and grant the extension so that the manager can then send a letter acknowledging that date.
All right, so someone want to make the motion to extend the time period to May 31st, 2021?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, under new business, resolution, motion to approve resolution 2021-06 wages as amended.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may, there were a couple of mistakes in the resolution that we voted on in the reorg meeting. Basically, had Lenny Hake, who is no longer an employee of the Highway Department in there, inadvertently elevated Blake Troutman for the Highway Department to star status by calling him Blake Sheldon. His name has been corrected.
Okay,
And there was a typo for John Bellis. His wage was supposed to be exactly like Alan Ender's, and that has been corrected on the amended version.
okay. So do I have a motion to approve resolution 2021-06 wages?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
And do I have a
Second it.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, Dave.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Motion to approve Trout CPA engagement letter to perform the annual audit.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to engage Trout to do our annual audit.
And do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Motion to approve resolution 2021-808 to close the Pliget accounts.
I'll make that motion.
And do I have a second?
I'll second that.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Resolution, looking for a motion to approve resolution 2021-09 to adopt a portion of the Goodman Drive as a public street.
Where's this at?
That's over at the, Bill.
It's the 100 feet that we own.
Yeah, This is it's a very short cul-de-sac into the facility
Right.
that actually, under the agreement with Goodman and Fairview Township is actually maintaining, because most of it's in Fairview Township. But for it to become public street, this township, Newberry Township, does have to adopt their portion, so it's just a small section of it.
I'll make that motion.
And do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. So we're gonna go past these two, and I'd like to address our Township Code Enforcement Officer, Jeff Martz. We'd like to accept his resignation, motion to accept his resignation, and thank him for his 5 years of service, and also thank him for offering to come in and continue to assist us as we are in the transition period and currently looking for a new zoning officer. So all in favor to accept Mr. March's resignation?
Aye.
Motion first, I'm sorry. Motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. All right, I have a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make a motion that we pay the bills.
I have a
As
second.
listed.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. At this time, we're going to adjourn to executive session.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Okay, we returned from our executive session. During that session, we had some personnel issues that we discussed, and at this point,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we do a market adjustment on our police clerical worker, Nicole Weibel. I'd like to see her wages go to $18 an hour.
do I have a second on the motion for
I'll
Nicole
second
Weibel to
it.
go to $18 an hour?
I'll second it.
Mr. Weinermeyer, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I neglected to mention something kind of important that I wanted to highlight to the board, that the sewer, under the sewer report, under my report, that the sewer collection of delinquent billing recovered $36,357.87 just since November.
Thank you very much, Tony. I have a few letters that I'd like to read before we conclude our meeting. This one is from the Friends of Redland Community Library. Dear members of the Board of Supervisors, on behalf of the Friends of the Redland Community Library, I would like to thank you for your contribution of $15,000 to the library. Your generous contributions have helped the library during its unprecedented time to be able to still offer online checkout books and materials to pick up in our lobby. Virtual programs such as story time, etc., that our patrons and the residents of Newberry Township have come to appreciate. Once again, thank you for your generosity. It's greatly appreciated. Patricia Markins. I have another letter from the Northeastern Senior Community Center. Dear Board of Supervisors, the Northeastern Senior Center gratefully acknowledges your kind and generous donation of $3,000, check number 068140, to our general fund. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, the Senior Center continued with home-delivered meals just one time a week and the congregate drive-through meal program 3 times a week. At this time, we are still closed for activities programs, although we did open for a soft opening in September, but closed activities once again at the end of November. Please find enclosed our 2019-2020 statistics that show how many seniors were served in each municipality for both HDM and congregate meals. Your continued support in helping us keep seniors in their homes is truly appreciated. Thank you, Deborah Davis, Executive Director. The other letter I have is from the Redland Senior Center. Dear Newberry Township Supervisors, on behalf of the Redland Senior Center, I would like to thank you for your generous donation of $18,000. This contribution will make it possible for us to better serve our local senior citizens socially, emotionally, physically, and intellectually. Your gift will help us to maintain our current programs and activities, implement new programming, and defray the cost of our lunch program. In these uncertain times, we appreciate your continued support as we remain committed to providing services to our location seniors. We have pivoted to serving meals through a drive-through takeout system, offer virtual programming, and are available to refer individuals to other services as needed. Thank you again for your ongoing support. It is certainly appreciated. Sincerely, Jennifer Washburn, Executive Director. So I'd like to thank those individuals for submitting the letters to the board. At this time, if there's no other business before the board,
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
do I have a second?
Second.
All in